Let's move straight to questions again to members. We'll do 6-minute rounds here. I want to start off my questions this morning going local, talking about the Tongass. We spent a lot of time talking about the Tongass, and there has been a lot of discussion over the past several years about how the Big Thorne sale is going to be that sale that allows everything to kind of be pieced together. But you and I both know that not only is the timber sale caught up in litigation, but now even planning and other non-ground disturbing activities associated with the Big Thorne sale are in jeopardy because of litigation through the Endangered Species Act. Now, you've mentioned that the Forest Service has done significant work on endangered species issues relating to Big Thorne, but give me some reason for optimism this morning about the chances, the likelihood of this sale going forward this spring as we need it to in order to, again, allow this all to be pieced together.
Well, Madam Chair, you're aware of the preliminary injunction motions that we've received on this sale. We've already filed our first brief on the first one, and we'll be shortly filing our second brief on the second one. I'm going to remain confident that we've done an adequate level of analysis to address the issues, that we've made changes in the decision to address those issues months ago. So I'm going to remain confident that we're going to be able to get a favorable ruling and be able to move forward with the implementation of the Big Thorne sale. For me, it's just another example of where it's essential that we provide the bridge timber that's necessary as we transition to second growth, but it's also just another reason for us to be able to look at every opportunity we have, that while we're moving forward with the bridge timber, at the same time bringing the second growth timber supply online at the same time.
Well, let me ask you,
that's our best solution.
Let me ask you about that, because in this day and age when we're dealing with litigation based on our timber sales, quite honestly, we don't have a lot of reason to be optimistic, and it's greatly concerning to me. But even if the Big Thorne sale makes it out of litigation, there's really nothing by way of additional volume behind it. We've got Saddle Lakes and Wrangell that have been repackaged, reanalyzed so many times, and yet we haven't seen timber out of either of these sales. So what we've got going on is kind of a repackaging, basically planning the same sale 4 or 5 different times. That isn't necessarily progress because we're not seeing wood harvested. So question to you about your prognosis on the Saddle Lakes sale. Do you think that we're going to see that out this year? And if so, what will the volume likely to be? And do you anticipate that we're going to get sued over that one as well?
Well, I will not speculate on what will happen maybe with litigation, but we are moving forward with the Kosciuszko sale this year, and we're moving forward with Wrangell and Saddle Lakes, and whether they'll be offered this year or the next year, but they'll be no later than 2016 as part of our bridge timber, and we're committed to providing that bridge timber, but at the same time to be moving forward with bringing on some sales with second growth. The solution here is also to look at these larger multi-year contracts, just like we have with Big Thorne, so that there's some certainty. When I look at what it's going to take to move to second growth, we have to provide the certainty of the material, and at the same time provide support for retooling of the infrastructure there. And if we can put that together with our bridge timber program, then I'm confident that we can have a successful transition.
Well, you can probably see my expression. I'm not confident at all. You've got litigation that continues to be a huge hurdle. You're saying a certainty that is needed here, but yet you've got this transition to second growth where you and I know there is great question as to whether or how long it's going to take until that second growth is actually ready and will be able to provide a level of harvest that is going to make a difference in the total scheme of things. And so this transition that we keep talking about is more theoretical, more on paper than actually being able to translate. Question for you is regarding litigation. How much Forest Service is spending in the Tongass responding to litigation? And then, before my time is up, you mentioned the retooling efforts. I mentioned to you in the Energy Committee last week or 2 weeks ago about the skepticism that I had on the effectiveness of the transition plan, and said, you know, I'm hoping that the administration is still going to be there when it comes to retooling. We haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen this transition aid that we had talked about. You mentioned at that time that you were going to look into the issues with the Credit Reform Act and potentially reprogramming as it relates to transition assistance. So I'd like to know whether you have any additional information on that Credit Reform Act, but also if you can give me the number on what we're spending on litigation with Tongass sales.
Well, with the last question first, Madam Chair, is that we've looked into that, and we will not need to have a reprogramming request. We have the funding available and the authority to be able to now sit down and be able to look at how we can work together, provide the necessary grants to be able to move forward with retooling, you know, that infrastructure.
Will that happen this year?
We are ready to move forward with it this year. We will probably be asking for assistance from your staff to be able to work with the mill owners and stuff about how to put a package together to be able to move forward with that. And then on what we're spending on litigation, I'll have to get back to you on that. It's not something we normally track because
it's got to be a huge expense for you.
It's the same staff that prepare the projects. It's the same staff that, you know, that puts a lot of the planning together. They then have to be able to pull the information together to put records together for the court and work with the attorneys.
Well, if you can get us that information, I think it would be helpful, Chief.
We'll give you an estimate of what it's costing.
All right, and we want to work with you on these retooling funds. Senator Udall.